welcome back to another video, and today we're reading chapter 7 of Shadow. Well, let's get straight into it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. Chapter 7. Then Lizzie heard it. A tiny distant bark, and a whimper. Shadow didn't like this place. It was dark and lonely. He had come in to keep the little boy safe, but then the door had slammed shut and they were both stuck inside. "Shadow!" she cried. "Did you hear that, Charles?" Charles nodded. "I think it came from the beans room," he said, looking really confused. They all ran back upstairs and into the beans room. "Shadow!" Lizzie called. Another bark. It was coming from the closet. Dad yanked open the door and Mum swooped in to pick up the beans. "Oh, honey," she said, hugging him. Shadow bounced out, looking as happy as always. Lizzie bent down to pick him up and give him a kiss. She was so relieved to see him, and the bean, of course. Yay! Shadow was glad they had finally heard him. Maybe it was time for a treat. He had certainly earned one. "Ball," said the bean boy, pointing back towards the closet. Dad shook his head. He must have woken up from his nap and gone in there to get his ball. Shadow followed him, the door closed, and then they were both trapped. "Good thing the bean had his guardian angel with him," Mum said, hugging the bean again. "I'm glad you're both okay." The next morning at school, Lizzie had felt horrible about what had happened. Fostering puppies was a serious job. How long had Shadow and the bean been trapped? But then something happened that made her forget something else. "Remember I mentioned yesterday that we were going to meet a very special pet? Well, our guest is here. Maria, would you introduce him?" Blushing, Maria got up and went to the door and opened it. "This is Simba," she said as a big stocky yellow Labrador retriever walked into the room. The dog was wearing a harness with a leather handle. Holding the harness was a woman who looked like a grown-up version of Maria. "And this is my mum," Maria added, "who's blind." For a second, the classroom was completely quiet. Then it exploded into noise as everyone started asking questions at once. "How old is he? Can we pat him? How does he know which way to go?" Lizzie was probably the only one in class who wasn't shouting out questions. She just sat there, standing at Simba and at Maria's mother. Lizzie felt her face flush red as she remembered how she had acted the day before, showing off how much she knew about blind people. Of course Maria knew more than she did. When Maria went back to her seat, Lizzie gave her a special smile, hoping she would understand how sorry she felt. Maria smiled back. Mrs. Abeson called for everyone to quiet down. "One question at a time," she said. She asked Maria's mum if she'd like to sit down and told her how to find the chair she had set up in front of the classroom. When Mrs. Santiago was sitting with Simba lying quietly next to her, Mrs. Abeson called on Noah. "Where did you get Simba?" asked Noah. "I got him from a foundation that trains guide dogs from the blind," said Mrs. Santiago. He spent the first year of his life with puppy raisers. Those are families who volunteer to bring up future guide dogs and teach them basic manners. Then the foundation trained him to work with a blind person. Then they trained me how to work with a dog." She smiled. "Finally, Simba and I were matched up and we graduated together." Next, Mrs. Abeson called on Daniel. "Does he live in the house with you?" said Daniel. "Oh yes," said Mrs. Santiago. "He's with me all the time. But he's more than a pet. He's a working dog. And to answer another question I heard before, you should not pat a guide dog when he's working. It can distract him." She leaned down to pat Simba, but he gets plenty of affection. And if he's not working, and if you ask first, a guide dog's owner might give you permission to pat him. Mrs. Santiago told him all sorts of interesting things about working with a guide dog. Like she said, Simba did not necessarily know which way to go until she told him, so it was up to her to know when to turn right or left. But Simba did know how to help her cross the street safely. If he sees danger, he won't let me cross, even if I'd given the signal to go. "What if you want to go to a restaurant?" Caroline asked, without even raising her hand. "Can he go with you?" Mrs. Santiago nodded. "Yes, it's the law. Guide dogs can go anywhere. Simba goes to the post office with me, to the stores, to the bank and to restaurants. He knows how to behave no matter wherever he is. She smiled down at her dog. Right, Simba? Simba's tail thumped on the floor. Lizzie loved every minute of Mrs. San Diego's visit. She'd learned more and more about guide dogs than she had ever known before, and she even got to try out walking with Simba, holding onto his harness. At lunchtime, Lizzie asked Maria to sit with her. Simba is amazing, she said. I know, Maria said. He makes life so much easier for my mum. He's a real hero. That was when Lizzie had the best idea ever. That's chapter 7, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember to like and subscribe. Thank you, everyone. Bye.